In today's landscape of entertainment, games come and go, easily consumed and easily forgotten. Whether that be due to outdated graphics or an antiquated control scheme. Whatever the reason, these games tend to lack two core ingredients: a gripping narrative and a design that demands an emotional response from the audience. To say that Silent Hill has captured our imaginations for over 20 years is no understatement.
To prove its impact on culture, all you have to do is look for Silent Hill theories on YouTube to see that its world is still intriguing and begging for explanations. But all the dissertations and investigations do zero justice for the actual experience of playing this game. For as many videos you've seen explaining what happened to Silent Hill, nothing will prepare you for what you are about to play. The ambiguous nature of the narrative leaves you wondering what happened to the town and its inhabitants hours, days, and even weeks after completing it. And even after completing it with the best ending, you still contemplate what it meant and how the town fell into such disarray.
Full disclosure, I never actually completed this game when it came out. Yes, I know, I'm a traitor. What are you going to do about it?
I barely got halfway through the first main area. I tried several times as I grew up, but still got stuck at the same old area and at the same old puzzle. I just had no idea how to progress because I was still stuck in the mindset, oh, it's a survival horror game on the PlayStation 1. The puzzles must be like Resident Evil. Oh, how wrong I was. Despite its similarities to the landmark Capcom series, Silent Hill goes out of its way to stand apart and be the true horror experience on the PlayStation 1. Where Resident Evil concentrated on body horror and action, Silent Hill cleverly veered away from its approach and adopted a blend of supernatural and psychological horror. This wasn't always the plan through development though. You see, back at its conception, Konami wanted to create a survival horror that rivaled blockbuster Hollywood-style movies, but they were unsure on how to actually achieve this. So, they grouped together a bunch of outcast staff members who had previously failed at other roles and didn't get along with other employees within the company, hoping that this may be the solution to these people's problems. Or, if all else failed, they could sweep this problematic bunch under the rug, forgetting it ever happened. This group was named Team Silent. And much to Konami's surprise, when left to their own devices and creativity, they would invent a landmark series that's still being revered to this day. One of the reasons it's still remembered fondly is because it's so different to any other game on the system. Fully 3D environments have replaced pre-rendered backgrounds, puzzles have been replaced by riddles, and its soundtrack no longer has Hollywood overtones. Its horrific, abrasive, industrial tones keep you on the edge throughout the experience. But most of all, the atmosphere is unrelenting dread. From the very start, this underlying oppressive feeling permeates every single frame. From the moment Harry Mason enters the godforsaken town looking for his adopted daughter, Cheryl, everything reminds you that you are not in control. Silent Hill is. Harry isn't a soldier, he's not a detective. He's just the everyman wrapped up in events far out of his control and woefully unprepared for. After driving towards the town, Harry narrowly misses someone who has wandered into the road. Swerving to avoid her, they crash. Harry is rendered unconscious, and upon waking, he discovers that his daughter is missing and sets out to find her. But with a heavy fog looming in and a lack of inhabitants, it's not made easy.
Especially when she keeps fucking running away from you.
Can you just sit the fuck still, please? Jesus Christ. Eventually, Harry follows her down an alley where the fog subsides and a dark, rust-filled nightmare takes over.
What is this?
Defenseless and facing an onslaught of horrific monsters, he's overpowered and passes out, only to wake up back in a normal world diner. It's at this point you meet your saviour, Sybil Bennett, a police officer from one of the nearby towns investigating the flow of illegal narcotics within Silent Hill. But she's just in the dark as you are.
But from what I can tell, something bizarre is going on.
Now, in true horror fashion, you split up
Hold it.
and resume your journey to find your daughter, but not before.
This seems familiar. It was!
The first section of the game, where you explore the town in the fog world, feels very much like a fetch quest, designed to get you used to what's about to come. Go here, find a clue, find an intact route to this other location, pick up this item and then head here. All the while instilling within you the mechanics of one of the most basic and fundamental pieces of equipment in your arsenal, the radio. Exploring the town is relatively easy, but whenever you hear the creepy radio static over your footsteps, you know that some sort of demon bastard is nearby and about to jump at you through the fog. The best option to defeat these ugly pieces of shit? Just run away. The wide open spaces of the streets are a great way for you to get used to the controls and rediscover the best successful method of the survival horror genre: avoid combat. Believe me, this ideology is going to be extremely useful and quite possibly the only way you are going to finish the later sections of the game. Just look at how many of these fucking bastards are after you. Now, the reason I've been saying that the first section is such a juxtaposition of the later segments is because of the large, wide open, somewhat decently lit streets that give way to claustrophobic, narrow corridors of the local elementary school. By the way, if you didn't know, narrow spaces are quite difficult to avoid enemies.
Kill them all! Wait. I think they're kids. Never mind.
This new area is where you'll truly get to experience what the game has to offer and will offer in the future. Perplexing puzzles with the solutions disguised as riddles, constant shifting between realities, and never truly knowing where you are.
Have I been here before?
In one section of the school, once you enter the rusted otherworld, you'll go into a bathroom, find nothing in it, and then leave. But you'll be in a completely different area. Reality shifting and changing around you is going to be part of the experience now. One moment in particular is probably the most quintessential example. In a later section of the game, about halfway through, you'll find yourself in a hospital with an elevator with 3 floors available to select, but after a certain point, a 4th button will appear, making you question whether it has just appeared or has it always been there. Never fully trusting your environment hammers home the most important factor of the game. No matter how good you get, how well equipped you become, you are not in control, but Silent Hill is. The uneasiness felt throughout is brought in full force by Akira Yamaoka's score. Accompanying the horrific corroded visuals of the various realities is this abrasive, grating, metallic, industrial soundtrack which work completely in tandem with one another. Replace one and it doesn't work.
But I can't just shower this game with praise and admiration. This is a review after all, if you hadn't noticed.
There is one minor issue where the ambition stretched a little too far and the execution didn't quite land correctly. But I will let you decide, as I honestly have mixed feelings about it. Within the hospital, you have to collect an item which is fairly easy to miss. Carry it around with you until quite a while later in the game, and then use said item in a very special circumstance in a boss fight, in order to get one of the better endings of the game. I'm sure a lot of people back in the day had no idea how to use it, when to use it, or even remember that they had the item in the first place. But if you actually read the files and notes littered around the place, you'll be able to figure out what it's used for and what actually happened to Silent Hill. Piecing these bits of information together and finding a solution isn't that difficult, but it does feel like a little bit like something you would hear about on the playground, pre-internet. It's not really a negative, I just needed something to complain about. Upon completing the game, you'll get access to new unlockable weapons. A couple of them you probably would have come across in an unusable state during your first playthrough. These new weapons and the desire to see each ending will drive you to pick up the controller and start playing again. The developers knew that the terrifying atmosphere and the fear of the unknown would reduce with each playthrough, so they decided to do the right thing. Make it sillier. With each completion and new ending achieved, they will eventually result in you collecting a ridiculous arsenal and even unlock the infamous UFO ending, which then gives you a fucking laser gun, the most powerful weapon in the game.
With an unnerving atmosphere, multiple endings, and unlockable items, this game deserves its reputation as one of the best games on the PlayStation 1. Watching videos about it just doesn't do it justice. You owe yourself to play this game. So, if you've got nothing else to do, why not head in and wonder what happened to Silent Hill? Okay, bye-bye, see you later, fuck off. Fucking bitch.